Mr. Chairman, tyranny has no respect for borders. The Chinese Communist Party is exporting its totalitarian censorship to Hollywood, demanding America's film industry be complicit in its malign agenda. The CCP has one goal: silence any voice that threatens its illegal, inhumane, and genocidal activity. Rather than standing up for American values, many high-budget films choose to edit out so-called offensive scenes. In one instance, the CCP told Sony to edit out an image of the Statue of Liberty in the movie Spider-Man: No Way Home. Fortunately, Sony refused. American liberty is not for sale. Unfortunately, not all Hollywood executives feel that way, as some, and I reiterate some, have been willing to put profit above patriotism. Yet many of these same studios get assistance from the U.S. government during film production. Via production assistance agreements, some studios gain access to invaluable assistance from the federal government, often from the Department of State, to then have these studios turn around and spread CCP propaganda or kowtow to Beijing censorship is unacceptable. Congress must put an end to this. That's why I reintroduced the Stopping Communist Regimes from Engaging in Edits Now Act, or SCREEN Act, this Congress. The SCREEN Act prevents the federal government from assisting studios in Hollywood with the production of a film if that film is co-produced by a Chinese company, and requires film companies receiving production assistance from the Department of State to report to Congress previous films that have been substantially edited by the Chinese Communist Party. And it bans the federal government from assisting these studios if they have edited a film for the CCP. Lastly, this bill requires Hollywood studios to provide written agreements pledging not to censor their own films at the request of the CCP prior to receiving any assets or technical assistance from the Department of State. Censorship at the behest of a dictatorial, human rights violating regime is bad enough. U.S. tax dollars funding that censorship is an outrage. Thankfully, the Pentagon, under the leadership of Secretary Austin and thus President Biden, recently announced that the DoD will no longer work with film studios that censor their movies on behalf of the CCP. The DoD gets it. The Pentagon's new rule is a great step forward, but we need to start codifying these protections in law. The Department of State must not spend a single taxpayer dollar helping studios that do Beijing's bidding. Imagine what American classics would have become if they'd required the approval of Xi Jinping. Can you imagine the CCP's stamp of approval on The Godfather, Casablanca, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan? Our film industry, our film history is part of our national culture, and we can't let it be watered down or manipulated by communist regimes. This bill counters the CCP's blatant attack on American culture by demanding transparency and accountability. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to vote in favor of this amendment and to unequivocally show our constituents that we will not subsidize censorship. Let's show the CCP that American movies can't be twisted to serve the CCP's interests. I yield back.